This is why dating is harder than ever, why most men resist and resent women empowerment, and why the top 10% men are laughing all their way to the bedroom. They're all connected, and the charts of women power explains why. Let's start. Conservative societies are better for most men because women have low power. Women tend to like and be attracted to men who are higher power than they are. So when women have low or no power, most men can easily find a mate. This happens usually in conservative society where women are very disempowered. At the extreme, these are societies that effectively repress women at the most basic level. It's crazy to think that even in some countries it still happens that women cannot vote. As societies liberalize and women gain more power, what happens is that the average woman, this is the curve of the average woman, they start gaining more power compared to the average man. Now, what sucks for the most average guys that for many different reasons, the curve of man tends to be flatter. That means that there are more men at the extreme low value and more men at the extreme high value. However, that also means that the average woman outperforms the average man. So it doesn't take a lot of women's empowerment for most men to start struggling. Since women are mostly attracted to men who are more than they are, the average guy already finds it harder to find a mate. And it only gets worse as women's power increase. By the way, when we talk about women's power and empowerment, we mean everything. At the most basic level, it means being able to vote. It means being able to show a little bit of skin over hair, which is a tool of female empowerment, especially in sexuality. We talk about her ability to date and date around, her ability to choose men, etc., etc. And this goes on a range. At the lowest level of women's empowerment, women cannot even choose who they date. These societies assign women a man, and they cannot say yes or no. These societies also tend to prefer one-on-one relationships, such as most women end up with one man. But as women's empowerment increases, they are free to do whatever they want. At this level, since women are mostly attracted to men who are better than they are, a lot of women do not want to pair up with the average guy. So the struggles here become real. For both genders, by the way. As we move towards more progressive societies where women are the most empowered, things become even more extreme. Now, here is the interesting thing. Most average guys here struggle to find a woman. They can't find one, of course, and most women eventually will pair up with one guy. However, it will not be a marriage or a relationship based on real attraction. And this is why many men today talk about the woman who is past 30 years old, who's had her fun around with top guys, and now she looks for a beta guy to settle up. Of course, these are overgeneralizations. However, in many cases, that's exactly what happens. At this level, though, please note that also women are not exactly winning. Most women find it harder to find a high value guy because they become higher values. They get a job, they can get all the makeup that they want, they get higher degrees and more degrees than most men, they get an equal or better job, they are equally or more well learned, they can also afford better tools to look better. Better makeup, better surgery, better and bigger boobs, etc. Of course, there is a limit to how much you can improve your aspect. However, there is a lot that can be done, and technology improves more and more. There is no end limit to this. It gets more and more lopsided. At this level, what's interesting is that while most guys struggle, the top men are enjoying it the most because the top guys can date everyone here. Well, sorry, this includes the guy, because the top guys can date everyone, and often they do. What also changes here is the culture. Women not only can get an equal or higher paying job, not only they can date around, but often they are encouraged to. And that pushes the curve further and further to the right. Women are also encouraged to sleep around, to explore their sexuality, to have fun and have a good time. Again, the top 1% of men enjoys that the most. Now, what can you do about it? Well, keep in mind what we said. The top 1% of men love the situation. You don't want to complain about the situation, and you don't want to try to repress women back where they came from. One, because the cat is out of the bag, and for a number of reasons it doesn't work too well. Number two, most importantly, it's because you sub-communicate that you're a low-value guy. Think about how the top 1% of men think. Top 1% of men do not complain about sexually and empowered women because to them it's life in a candy store. Even if you're not there yet, you still want to start thinking about it and behaving as if you were one. Also because, as Machiavelli said, it doesn't matter what it is, it matters what it looks. So do not follow all those men complaining about women's empowerment because you sound like a fucking loser. This is also why, in many ways, the patriarchy is actually true. The patriarchy is simply all these guys who are not comfortable with women's empowerment and who want them back to having no power at all, so they can benefit. So all these researchers, who are often also very smart guys and who deny the existence of the patriarchy, they are falling trap of their own bias. In truth, the patriarchy is very real because for the majority of men, the level of women's empowerment is about survival and reproduction. And also, just to be clear, women also lose because it gets more difficult for them to pair up with a guy that they can like, respect and be attracted to. However, they don't lose nearly as much. Also remember what we said before about technology advancing. A guy will always need a woman to reproduce. Well, not always. There are options for guys as well. However, the options already offered by technology are much easier on women than on guys. Today, a woman can go to a sperm bank, pick a top 10% guy who's already checked in his background, who has no venereal disease, who is completely safe. They don't even need to trust what the guy says, and they can have a child without having to be saddled with a low-value guy or even an average one. A woman with a good job can go to a sperm bank, get a couple of children from a top guy, and indeed she doesn't need a man. And many men are not okay with that. As usual, here at The Power Moves, we say it is what it is. You adapt, make the most out of it, and profit from it. Cheers, guys.